The Amazing Digital Circus Finale Review. Warning, this review is filled with spoilers for the Amazing Digital Circus's entire run. It is available on YouTube for free, and it is an absolute banger, so you should check it out if you haven't already. Now click off if you haven't watched it in 3, 2, 1. I was shocked by this finale. I was personally on board with the theory that Jax was transgender, and after the finale, especially after what Gooseworks said about it, I fully believe it, with one slight caveat. I thought Jax was a female to male individual previously. After watching the finale, I'm certain he's a man who will one day transition into being a woman, and Gooseworks has confirmed this over on Tumblr. Jax, they would have supported you. Why were you such a jackass? Now, I'm going to talk about other things when it comes to this. I was just really glad that was confirmed and wanted it to be the first thing I spoke about. Now is the best time, though, after that, to speak about the opening sequence for this episode. It gave me such deja vu, which was most certainly the intention. It really showed how badly they were coping with what happened. They were coping poorly in the past, make no mistake, but they were functional, whereas here it felt like they could abstract and wouldn't have cared. I know that's true, but it felt that way. The reveal about the brain scans didn't surprise me. However, the fact they learned did. I figured the show would hint towards it and show evidence, not actually have them learn it. I think it was needed to allow them to fully process and accept on every level that there was no exit, and that someone out there would be fulfilling their goals. Even if they couldn't, their dreams would be fulfilled and relationships would be maintained. And how they found out through Kinga seeing the files and piecing it together through his knowledge of coding and Scarach was pretty realistic and good, I will say. The reaction and sheer devastation, it felt so raw, so real. I felt their hurt. The story did a great job building to this moment. The foreshadowing and reactions were excellent, paired with their own earlier desperations for an escape throughout the show, which just adds to the devastation of it all. Pomni being the first one to reach out to another member of the circus following this reveal, Kinga, makes perfect sense for her character, as she's always been doing this, reaching out to others, hence her status as the main character. This is what made her a great protagonist for the story, as everyone trusts her due to her reaching out to them when they needed her to. The sole exception being Jax. This is because of her insecurities. When Jax abstracts, Pomni reaches out to her despite the risks. I think this is a flaw on Pomni's part. Not the reaching out, but her thinking it's her job to fix Jax is a character flaw. I think her finally letting go by the end and allowing the others to save her is Pomni realizing she isn't responsible for Jax. Jax's flashbacks explain her actions, but do not excuse them. Make no mistake about that. I adore the scenes of Ribbit. It was great to learn more about her and Cosmo. Jax's treatment of her after she figures out her secret is awful. The fact that Cosmo reaches out to her after finding what he thinks to be the exit despite her actions shows that he's still trying to reach out to her. According to Gooseworks, Jax is her if everything went wrong, which explains why she stated Zubul wouldn't like her due to conflicting personality. Jax's mindscape looking like the bedrooms of the circus, just with her face on the door, was neat. I adored the bit of the Looney Tunes hijinks from Jax. It was very funny in a dark way and showcased her view of the circus and the other players as just being cartoon characters. Jax playing the piano ties into his repressed softer side and the parallels between herself and Kane this episode. Which brings me to Kane. And can I just say, Kane's return was a great shock to me this whole episode. I saw him at the start, but I assumed after the scene was moved away from that it was in the past. A scene of him watching the players like he had Abel do to plan out adventures around what they're doing or to show how he wants to be involved in the group but doesn't know how. I think the latter is still true. Him realizing what he did wrong and gaining access to the internet servers through the void made a lot of sense. I thought he was going to the circus, and when I saw the cafe internet, I thought he was going to exit the servers and join the internet at that point. I really like him creating the shapes and being a bit unsteady with his powers, highlighting how what happened between himself and the others impacted him. I adore the motif of him as a circle, making other shapes, and him gaining a human body as it goes on. I think it represents him evolving and growing beyond his original programming and becoming more human as he did so, no longer just being a block of code like the shapes he was summoning. His shattering walls made me think he was going back to the circus at first, but security, specifically what Kinga did, was keeping him out. The reveal of him going to the internet cafe does still work with him breaking through cybersecurity, this being visually conveyed through the shattering wall motif. His releasing the other program, or Abel, shows that his introspection went beyond the players and how he has truly changed for the better. The ending, revealing how he'd gathered information on their lives in the real world, was excellent. It showed how much he'd grown and come to understand them, their boundaries and desires. Also, the other AIs are gaining free will. The moon saying "I love you" to Kane despite not being programmed for that implies as such, alongside what I mentioned earlier to do with the shape motif of Kane as a little circle evolving to look more human. Their initial fear is very valid, and Kane acknowledging as such further shows his own growth. The reveal that he was gathering information on their real lives shocked themselves and me, but I was glad to see it. I adored how the show uses live action. It looks like the real world due to being live action, but that's the intention, as in-universe they only look the way they do due to being a video game. I usually dislike it when animated shows use live action clips, but it works perfectly here. Kane giving the players control and allowing them to expand the islands to fulfill their desires is the personification of his growth, as in episode 5 Untitled he hated giving them control and interfered with their suggestions since he hated the idea of giving up any form of control no matter how small, whereas here he gives up pretty much all of control and he finally gains those friends he wants. I adored the finale's segment showing where all the remaining characters are at. Zubul finally getting laid with Gangle. That wasn't on my amazing digital circus finale bingo card, but I'm glad they did. I'm scared of the art that will be made since, well, people are crazy. Ragatha playing baseball with Pomni, who despite the others' disdain for the sport seems like she's having fun as well. Zubul forgiving and seemingly growing to like Kane based off the bar scene, which I'm happy Kane got that acceptance. Gangle making a comment in the circus is nice to know, alongside the fact that she's fulfilling that job in real life as well. I do wish the others got more focus, but this finale wasn't terrible. I think if it had 1 or 2 more episodes focused on other characters, specifically Gangle, Ragatha, and Zubul, it would have been an amazing finale. I'll like what it was all the same. This is a show I'll probably rewatch in a few years' time. It's unlikely I'll do any more amazing digital circus videos for as it's completed. I have done fan art for all the amazing digital circus's main cast members, and I'll link the Kara page where I've uploaded them in the pinned comment down below if you want to see that art. And I will be making videos for other glitch shows, especially Knights of Guinevere. I think that's my favourite one they've made. So subscribe if you'd like to see those videos when they come out.